Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to Scraptember combined with 30 days of sketches. Today's sketch has a ton of photos on it, and I took advantage of that to use a batch of photos that I have a lot of, and I did a double. So I just stretched it. That sketch was from Scrapbook Challenges. It was written right on the sketch, but in case you missed that, sometimes I don't know where the sketch is actually from, but in this case we do. So I started out with this really beautiful wood grain paper. I believe that's from P13. And then I wasn't really sure what to put with it, but I decided to go with this black paper from Amy Tangerine's Brave and Bold, which I know that seems like a kind of a weird combination, but I really liked it because the little tiny leaves on those flowers is the same color as the back of it there. And it worked really well with the blues that were in the photo because it's kind of like it's such a small dose, it kind of just plays off of the highlights in the blues. It doesn't really have that, it doesn't look as green as it looks on the back. But at any case, I played around quite a bit with how I wanted my photos, and I left that in the video so you can see that it doesn't always come together as easily as you might think based on the videos that you might see on YouTube, because we do get to cut a lot of that out. But in this case, I kind of just went back and forth. You saw that I had them in a different arrangement at first, and I don't like this arrangement because the middle section is all a bunch of like stair steps up and down, and I'm not really fond of that. And then also in the sketch, everything is very linear and straight lined up, and there is a bunch of journaling like in the center area of the sketch, and it wasn't allowing for that. So then I thought, well, what if I turned the sketch sideways, which would make it look like the photos were going more stacked on top of each other. So I played with that solution, and yep, I'm tapping my fingers. Nope, that's not what I want to do. It doesn't look right to me. So what I end up doing is I kind of split it out, but I line up the top and the bottom rather than having them stacked completely right on top of each other. I just split them, but have the center line of the bottom ones all, or the top line of the bottom ones all at the same level, and the bottom line of the top ones all at the same level, which gives me that gap all the way across that is even and equal, and just, you know, a nice straight line all the way across the center. And I'm liking that a lot better. So sometimes you just have to play around with how you want them. And so my photos there, the ones that are the smaller size are slightly smaller than 3x4, and then the full size ones are slightly smaller than a 4x6. Let's go back on that. The largest ones are slightly smaller than 4x6. The smallest ones are slightly smaller than 2x3, and then the medium-sized ones, which there's only, I think there's only like one or two. I'm not sure. Yeah, the actual llama photo, and the one right above it where they're feeding the horse. Those two are approximately 3x4, slightly smaller because I print them with a border. But that's how I'm getting so many photos on here. I don't print all in 4x6 because I would have probably, I don't know, maybe 6 pages to accommodate all of these photos. I might be able to just squeeze it onto 4 pages, but I would prefer to keep it on 2 if I can, because some of these photos, like, you know, the llama, it doesn't have to be in there, but it is a cute photo. It's kind of like a background photo, even though it is larger because the llama's cute. But some of the photos are not as important as other ones, and I try to make the ones that are most important or that look the best largest. And now I'm just playing around with what I want to put in the center, because that center line on the sketch has kind of some horizontal lines going across the page. And so I want to mimic that. And so I found this paper from, I believe this is, yeah, it's Bloom Street. No, that's not right. It's a Paige Evans paper. I'm pretty sure. Listen to me. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Anyway, I decided to pull the blues out of it. And the blues just mimic the blues that are in the photos. So that light blue is kind of like the sky and my son-in-law's sleeves on his shirt. the darker blue is kind of like my shirt and the blue jeans, and so it works really well. And that paper just was a bunch of border strips, and yes, I cut the whole thing apart just to get those 3 little sections of blue out, and then I cut them in half so that they definitely span both pages. So I'm kind of looking at the back side there, and I'm thinking that that might have been actually an AB Tangerine paper, but you can just ignore that because I'm not really 100% sure. If you do need to know, let me know because I can look it up for you. But at this point, I don't have it in front of me. So I decided to make them a little closer together because when they were so spread out, they looked really disjointed. And so by bringing them nice and close together, they look like they are one element that is supposed to be there. And it looks much better to my eye. And that tends to be a big problem in why things might look disjointed on pages frequently. Not saying that yours do, but when I feel like my page feels disjointed, it's because things are too spread out and I need to bring them nice and close together. And so that really helps in case that is something that you feel like is wrong with your pages. That's just a tip for you. Try bringing things closer together, maybe closer to the photograph, or bring your embellishment clusters kind of tighter. So I am really happy with the way it looks, and I really like that it has the top one is more right justified than the next one, and so on, because it gives it a feeling of movement, and so that makes me happy. It doesn't look like a stagnant page, so I really like that. And so at the we are at the Gilroy Ostrich Farm, and so my title is just going to be Gilroy Ostrich Farm. And so I'm just playing with how I want that to lay out because I don't really want to split the word ostrich between 2 pages. I want to keep that word on one page. I'm just trying to decide if it's going to be on the right or the left and where the split is going to be and how to keep it kind of balanced because it doesn't look really balanced if I keep it all the way to the right and just keep one word on the left-hand page or one word on the right-hand page. It doesn't look really balanced. So I'm just letting it sit there on my ruler while I do a little bit of embellishing. And I decided to pull out some golds because the font that I chose to use is a font that is white with a gold all the way around the outside, and I really like how that's looking. So I went through my bin of gold things and pulled that out just to see what I could tuck in. And then up in the right-hand corner behind the sketch there, you can see I have some little pieces of paper from the offcuts of those strips that I are going across the center. So I'm going to bring those in as well to my little embellishment areas just to bring in that color a little bit more. And so that it looks like it flows all the way across the page. And I'm going with a diagonal design, even though we are on a double page layout. It still works, and actually frequently when you do a double page layout, you're going to probably use less embellishments than if you were on a single page or the same amount because you can keep your 3 clusters or your diagonal design spread across 2 pages. You don't have to put 3 clusters on each side of a double page. That would be overwhelming and would not really allow your eye any resting spots. So just keep that in mind if you are going to stretch into a double page and you're not familiar with double pages, you don't need as many embellishments as you might think. So while I work on that, I will tell you to go check out everybody else who's playing along with Scraptember and with 30 Days of Sketches. There are so many people that have joined in this time, and it's so fun. There's tons of inspiration, all kinds of takes on the different layouts or the different sketches and the different prompts. And speaking of prompts, the prompt for this one was multi-photo. And I think I definitely nailed that because there are, I don't even know how many photos. 18 photos? 18 photos on 2 pages, which I think is a really good amount. And so definitely check out all the other people playing along. There's a lot of inspiration. Big shout out and thank you to Christy at Christy's Beautiful Life, and Katie and Jessica over at the Scrappy Sisters, and Laura Alberts over at her channel, which I believe hers is just Laura Alberts. So that one's easy to find. But a big shout out to them for all of the work that they did to put this whole thing together and for teaming up and combining both series so that we would have a lot of inspiration in a bunch of different ways. So thank you guys for doing that. I know it's a lot of work and I definitely appreciate it. And I know that our viewers and our subscribers will really love it. So thanks for doing that. Okay, so in the meantime, I went and I grabbed my punch, and that's I think a 3 or 3.5 inch punch. I think it's actually the 3.5, and I just used the scraps of that black paper that I had left and punched a little circle out of it, or a semicircle out of it, and used that in my little embellishment clusters in the upper right or upper left and lower right corners, just to bring in more of that same pattern. And I think that the added pieces really help with the continuity and the design. When you repeat a lot of things, it makes it look like it is supposed to be there and not like a one-off accident. And so it's definitely worth saving a little bit of paper if you can, so that you can use it in different spots. And if I hadn't had extra paper, I probably would have pulled up that largest photo and punched a little bit from behind there, and then maybe pulled up one of the second largest photos and punched a little bit from behind there, just so that I would have enough paper to bring into those little areas. It doesn't have to be much. Your eye doesn't need for it to be a whole lot for you to recognize that you're repeating a pattern, but it does definitely help your layout. So I did have this golden piece that says lovely. It's a die cut, and I went and I cut around it because it had a huge white border around it. And so I just trimmed that down, and I didn't do that on camera, I don't think. And I am popping it up on some foam tape so that it will rest on top of that G in the chipboard thickers of the word Gilroy. And so that is going to provide that added balance that I was looking for the title. So it now reads Lovely Gilroy Ostrich Farm. Lovely is not really in the name of the place, but I think because it's in a different font and it's at an angle, you can definitely tell it's not supposed to be the actual name of the facility. So I just added a little bit of gold Heidi Swap color shine to finish it off. I'm super happy with how this turned out. I added some little gold hearts there, and off camera I added some gold zigzag stitching to several of those areas as well. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Bye-bye.